Now, what I'm talking about here, guys, is this organisation, Just Stop Oil. Protesters have been jumping onto the pitch and trying to attach themselves to the goalposts. We saw it at Goodison the other night, and there was a lengthy delay when officials ran on with a very sizable pair of bolt cutters and tried to detach them from the goalposts, one individual, should I say. Are protesters right to use the Premier League stage to impart their messages? Now, Forest Green Rovers owner Dale Vince joins us live. Dale, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jim, guys.
Dale, thank you very much for being with us. I am presuming you back them all the way.
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? You know, as a football fan and somebody that runs a club, I wouldn't want to see disruption. And yet the issue is so big. The need to stop oil transcends sport. It transcends motorways, you know, transcends everything. And we can see that especially now with the war in Ukraine. We can see that we're dependent on some dodgy people and dodgy regimes around the world for our oil and gas. If not Russia, it's the people in Saudi Arabia, you know, that just executed 80 people last weekend.
So they describe themselves as a coalition of groups working together to demand the government to stop the exploration, development, production of fossil fuels like oil, gas, coal in the UK. But is a Premier League pitch the right stage on which to do this protest, Dale?
Well, I think any stage is the right stage, actually, from a protester's point of view, because what you're looking for is to bring attention to the issue and bring some disruption, because if you don't shake the kind of business as usual, life as usual kind of approach and mentality, then you don't get people to think about these bigger issues that need dealing with.
We've seen a few protests. There might be a few more this weekend. We don't know. There might be. You get any idea, Dale, who's funding it?
I get the sense that you have an idea when you ask that question, Jim, but you might not.
I'm curious. I'm curious.
Well, it's me, actually. And, you know, I had a chat a few weeks ago with the people that founded this. They live in Stroud, and people that I know, and they reached out and said, look, we want to start a new campaign. Will you help us with a bit of cash? And I did. What they didn't say to me was that they were planning to disrupt football matches, which I find amusing. And I only bumped into this story in the last couple of days anyway, you know, the fact that the disruption had taken place, because as Simon knows, I'm more interested in League Two. You know, so I think it's amusing to me that I actually seem to have my fingerprints on this accidentally.
Hang on a second, Dale. We're talking about the protests. We're talking about Just Stop Oil. We're talking about disruption of matches. And you're confirming to us this lunchtime that you're funding it.
That's right. I'm accidentally funding the disruption of Premier League games.
Accidentally funding it or willingly funding it?
Well, I'm willingly funding the organisation. What I'm telling you, Jim, is that when I spoke to them, they didn't say to me, this is what we plan to do. I mean, they didn't need to. You know, I don't try to control what people do when I help them with their campaigns. But it kind of amused me to discover that this group that I helped get going has been doing this in the world of football.
So you're going to continue funding it, or you're going to pool the funding?
Well, they haven't asked for any more money. I think it was like £10,000 to get them going or something like that, you know, and I don't know if they need a lot of money. But, you know, look, I support their aims, and I don't really have a problem with what they're doing. As long as it's non-violent protest, disruption is part and parcel of protest. It's how you get attention and draw attention to really big issues, actually, that, as I say, transcend football, transcend most aspects of life.
Dale, what are they using your 10 grand for?
I don't know. You know, maybe it's cable ties, super glue. You know, but I'm just kidding. I don't know. But you know, to organise themselves, I imagine, to travel, to have meetings, plan stuff. You know, I don't actually know what they're using it for.
Well, Dale, you're nothing if not honest. Simon, what's your take on what Dale's just revealed to us live in talkSPORT? That the Just Stop Oil protests that are disrupting matches are being funded by Dale Vince.
Well, that's up to Dale, isn't it? Dale can fund whatever he wants. And Dale, if these people are going to break the law and the law of the land, as they have done with the Insulate Britain guys, then maybe Dale can find himself in a situation, given the fact that he's funded these people and enabled them to do it. Look, I'm not going to debate with Dale Vince about the dynamics of the green policy. This is his area of expertise. This is his forte. He runs a business specifically in this industry. But I'm also going to look at the reality of people's awareness of it and people's reaction to it. People aren't aware and aren't not aware. I mean, they're seeing it in their utility bills by the very nature of green taxes being put onto people's bills. So people are aware of it. The reality of how people respond to it, I'm not sure it does this particular organisation. a great deal of credit. I've seen that loon Roger Hallam pop up on TV doing the organisation no credit whatsoever, and I've also seen the reaction from the people that you're trying to convert.
Is Loon not a bit strong?
Listen to him. Have a listen to him. See, work it out for yourself. But if you look at the protests, everybody has a right to protest. We can't live in a country where you don't have a right to protest. And with protest goes an element of disruption, otherwise it wouldn't be a protest. I think it's been stretched a little bit further than it needs to go to, and it's affecting people in ways that are beyond a pale and not justifiable, specifically with the Insulate Britain guys that are gluing themselves to roads.
Yeah, but what, are you having football matches disrupted?
No, I'm not. And I'd be interested to see how humorous Dale thinks it is if it's a very important match for Forest Green Rovers that gets abandoned as a result of it.
I mean, Dale, Simon's hit the nail on the head there. You own a football club. These people are disrupting football matches. You're financing the process. I mean, Dale, you've got a few things to address here, have you not?
No, this is why I think it's amusing. This is why I was telling you that it's amusing that I discovered that I'd funded these people that are disrupting football matches. But I still support the disruption of pretty much anything in order to get across this message. Right now, our government are planning further exploration in the North Sea. There's a big push from some elements of the Conservative Party to bring back fracking. Both of these things will be disastrous. The state of our energy bills has got nothing to do with green levies or green taxes. It's all about fossil fuels. This winter coming, energy bills across the nation will be twice what they were last year, possibly more. It's going to be unaffordable for tens of millions of pounds. And to double down and spend more billions of pounds exploring the North Sea just makes no sense at all. We've got to move to green energy. And, the other essential factor, of course, is the climate crisis. We have to get to net zero to avoid something far worse than high energy bills, far worse. And nothing's being done by this government. In fact, all the wrong things are being done. So we have to protest.
Dale, how would you feel if a Forest Green Rovers match is disrupted? And in fact, would you be behind the organisation of it?
Maybe I'd be gluing myself to the goalpost. I don't know.
Are you going to? That is a serious question. Are you going to protest yourself?
Well, I don't think I'd protest at my own football match, because look what Forest Green stands for. Look what we do. We're a zero carbon club, greenest football club in the world, according to FIFA and the UN. We're out there making the case for football clubs to change, for the world of sport to change, actually. So I don't think protesting at a Forest Green game would make a lot of sense. We're very careful about sponsors. We've got no gambling sponsors, for example. Definitely got no fossil fuel sponsors. So I've been asked the question before about Extinction Rebellion. How would I feel if they came to protest at a game? You may have asked me that, Jim, a couple of years ago, and I just shrug and say, look, these are really big issues, and where these people choose to protest is where they choose to protest.
I mean, a lot of people, Trevor, this lunchtime will be open mouth. All credit to Dale for his honesty.
Absolutely.
I give him that, and his openness.
Yeah.
And he's nothing if not honest and open every time he comes on. But here you have an owner of a football club who's actually backing the protesters.
Yeah, he's backing the protesters, but he didn't realise what they were going to do. So I think on that basis, he's not party
Dale,
to it.
why would you hand over 10 grand if you didn't know what they were going to do?
Because he believes in the cause.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I know the people, and they said to me, look, we want to start a new campaign to stop oil. And listen, it's a campaign I'm completely behind. We've got to stop the exploration and production of oil. We've got to move into renewable energy. It's such an urgent issue. So, yeah, I said, sure, I can help out. And I did.
So how long is this going to go on, Dale? You've obviously got intel that you could share with us.
No, I know nothing. I mean, I was surprised when I got the call to come on the show because of the disruption of a couple of Premier League games. I actually had missed that in the news. So that was news to me, So I know less than you guys, I reckon.
All sorts of questions being asked of us to ask you. Does Dale have any idea how the cable ties have got made? Does he know the process that these people are going through?
But the irony of Dale's position, and I think it's okay being a bit smug, Dale, but you are inside an industry. You are being a bit smug.
Simon.
You are being a bit smug, right? And I know you like to be clever about your own subject matter, but we can all go into subject matters where we're expertise in and have a bit of cleverness about it. I'd like the game to perhaps charge you with bringing it into disrepute of games are disrupted because of your funding of a bunch of idiots. But the bottom line is no one's missing this message. And your argument about utility bills is nothing. I'm not talking about the hike in the costs of it. There's been a levy on utility bills for many years. So the cost of bills that people are getting, whether it's inflated or not, is still as a result of the green levy and still as a result of the government pursuing a net zero policy. But but my point is that the backdrop to this is that the public loathe it. The people that you're trying to influence push back against it and think it's absolutely contemptible, and you lose the message. The message is being lost. It's being universally accepted by a medium that I don't much like, which is the mainstream media a lot of the time, that the focus on what's being done by Extinction Rebellion and Insulate Britain, the message is lost in the disruption. So it defeats the object. And now we're going to do it on football pitches.
Okay, cool. Let me start at the beginning. There's an awful lot in there. Well, there's not that much, actually. Look, you're mistaking a relaxed attitude for smugness, right? I just bumped into this fact and I'm relaxed about it. You can call it smug, but I'm not being smug, Simon. Yeah, I know a lot about green energy and stuff. What you said about bills is wrong, okay? Annual energy bills this winter will be £3,000 a year typically. The cost of green levies and social levies and VAT combined, because they're not all green levies, is 10% of that, 300 quid a year.
But it's still a levy, right?
The big rise in bills, which has caused them to double, is about fossil fuels. We're talking 1,500 quid versus 300 quid. Well, you denied it.
No, I didn't.
So,
I didn't. No, you didn't listen. Well, I didn't deny that at all. We all know that the price of fuel is going up for a variety of reasons. I talked to you about green levies specifically.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think you called that levies as being the cause. Okay,
no, I didn't. I think it was a contributing factor. I say it was the cause.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
No, attention to detail.
Second.
Attention to detail.
Brilliant, love it. So we could debate green energy all day, but there's not a lot of point. We could debate the merits of protest and communication as well, and I'm happy to do that, Simon. So was the message of Insulate Britain lost in the media scrum that followed their activity? I think to a degree, actually, but also to a degree it was not. It was surfaced. You know, a lot of people became aware of the fact that Britain has the worst insulated housing stock in Europe, and that we have to do something about that. And it's one of the reasons we use as much gas as we do to keep our homes warm, and why our bills are so high, and why so many people live in fuel poverty. That's crying out to be sorted out. What are you going to do about that when nothing's being done? Get out and protest. And if you upset some people, but you inform some people at the same time.
I'm looking at some of the messages, Dale. It's a mixed bag. There's Ryan. Dale sounds like the most chilled guy on the planet. He's got a fan in me, the way he's going about it. The fact of the matter is, Dale, these protests, if they continue, Just Stop Oil, and you've admitted that you're funding them, do you accept you stand to be charged with bringing the game into disrepute by the FA?
I'd be surprised, actually, if that was a thing. I know Simon just mentioned it, but I doubt it's rooted in much reality, quite frankly, and not wishing to be insulting.
But it's considerable disruption.
If you fund an organisation that then disrupts football matches, and you're quite happy to tell people, well, you're not really funding it, you give them 10 grand, see how long that lasts. Right, maybe it can get them a few bars of soap. But the bottom line is that you're not really funding it. But if you were funding it, there is an allegation that you could be funding something that brings the game into disrepute. I wrote articles in newspapers a few years ago when I was the chairman of Palace, and I got charged for bringing the game into disrepute because I made observations about the game. We're in the same territory.
Cool. Did they fine you?
Yeah, they tried to.
Listen, it is what it is, right? If you don't stand up for what you believe in and do the things you believe in, then what's the point of living?
I think that's right too, but I do think that a lot of the message is lost. What we take away from me, having watched Insulate Rebellion, were the imbeciles that went on television that were hypocrites. And I think most people in the country watch some of those guys that were representatives of this organisation. I think the message needs to be imparted. And if you believe in something, I think you're right to do it. I think the method of delivery is key, and I think this is the wrong method of delivery.
Yeah, look, there's an argument to be had that those people weren't good spokespeople for the cause, actually. They didn't have media experience, for one thing, and they didn't get the message across very well. I heard of those interviews, I haven't seen them. But here we are on talkSPORT in front of, I don't know how many people, talking about the problem with further exploration for oil and gas and fracking in answer to the energy bill crisis. Here we are.
Okay, Dale Vince, as always, thank you so much for joining us. The owner of Forest Green Rovers, Dale Vince, on the Just Stop Oil protests, which Dale Vince himself is funding.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.